welcome to Breaking the Cycle of Poverty, featuring Jay Height, Executive Director of Shepherd Community Center in Indianapolis. My name is Tim Swearens, and I'm your host for these conversations that explore why poverty remains such a persistent problem in the United States. On this episode, Jay and Shepherd's Director of Housing, Dennis Westlake, discuss the housing crisis that so many people in Indianapolis and around the country face. Jay, will you introduce Dennis to our listeners?
Yes, we are excited. Dennis joined our team in December. He has worked both as a missionary throughout the world and also has worked in construction, home building. And so he brings that perfect marriage for us because the reality is no building has changed a person's life. It's a tool that we can use to help them. And so housing, at such a critical need for us, isn't just about building buildings. It's about building systems that build the capacity of our neighbors.
Yeah. Dennis, give us a snapshot of what our neighbors in Indianapolis are confronted with in terms of housing.
Well, I think first of all that the what's being documented across the country shows that there, first of all, is a crisis in housing. That is, there is a supply problem. Mm-hmm. There just aren't enough rentals. There aren't enough homes to buy. But that maybe is where it starts, but as low inventory and high demand kick in together, then we see the price tag of housing not only increasing for everyone, but that impact is so much greater for those who already are low income. And so it's very common for us to find people who are spending more than 50% of their income just on rent. But even if you are able to find a place, which is very hard in this area, keeping it is the other side of the problem. Because actually that housing isn't really affordable. And when you try to keep unaffordable housing, it comes down to which bill gets paid. Mm-hmm. And so the number one problem that people come to Shepherd with is, can I get this bill paid? Mm-hmm. But that's only the top of the issue. When you drill down a little bit further, you begin to see that it really does come down to a problem of housing, mm-hmm. that the housing component is taking so much of their income that it's simply not possible to manage it. So when I look at it, I say, well, what does it look like here? I would say it looks like a widow receiving $940 Social Security income, but paying $450 a month just in rent. It looks like a young woman living out of her car because she can't find a place to live. It looks like a young man who recently pitched his tent on one of our vacant lots because after several years in his apartment building, he wasn't able to afford the rent anymore. And it looks like others who are facing evictions, others who are behind in paying their utilities and rents. And for them, I think it looks like a losing battle.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we continue to hear is rentflation, mm-hmm. and it's real. It is not unheard of in this neighborhood to hear of rent increasing $600-700 a month, and there's just no margin.
What happens to a family or a single person when they get hit with that?
You see a lot of doubling and tripling up, which we know for students that has an academic impact. Mm-hmm. We see folks who are homeless, as Dennis was saying, sleeping in their cars, trying to be creative to figure out, but all of the shelters are full. And there's if you're trying to work and you've got to find an extra $600 and Shepherd helps you with $300 and this other organization helps you with $200, when do you have time to go to all of those organizations to try to cobble together? Right. And what may seem as emergency assistance is monthly. This is a monthly crisis, mm-hmm. and so you see decisions being made around, okay, I'm not going to take my meds this month because I need to pay that, and I don't want my kids to go without. We see our numbers going up in our food pantry, and it's all driven back together. That I don't care if inflation is dropping, the prices that they've escalated from isn't dropping.
Right. Right.
And so you have 26% more for food. There is some who say inside the 5 mile radius of downtown, rent has gone up 60% in the last 2 years. If you just did that with your own bills, you're going to say this doesn't work.
Yeah. Tell us how Shepherd is engaging on this issue.
Well, I'm excited with Dennis's leadership. You can share a little bit about an apartment complex we're working to try to get finished and over the finish line in 25. But talk about some of our projects.
Yeah, well, that's the big one. It's just down the street, a couple blocks from us, and it is hopefully going to be 11 units, rental units, a couple of one bedrooms, couple 2 bedrooms, and the rest 3 bedroom units. It will have some community space, about 3,000 square feet, that we hope will give us a place to welcome neighbors in for various activities. But all of these units will be made available for low-income and extremely low-income people. So we're excited about that. We're also seeking to address the ownership side of it. And we're in the process of working with a local home builder to build some single-family homes and then make those available in a lease-to-own contract that will allow people who have the desire to move toward home ownership to move in that direction. So,
And to do it for a third of the cost, they would donate 2/3 of the cost. It's unheard of. It's very generous, and we look forward to when we can make a public announcement of how that's going to happen. Those are huge benefits, but at the end of the day, it's also our team who's trying to track down when someone needs an option today, where they're going to go. As we are beginning to hear just a squeak of some layoffs and things, cutbacks, we're seeing some folks thrown quickly into an emergency because they really don't have anything anymore to fall back on. And housing is at the crux of all of these challenges.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the scale of what we're facing, right? And those are important initiatives that Shepherd is taking on, but I suspect the need is even greater out there.
Well, I can tell you this, and Dennis can talk a little bit from his. It's an issue all across America.
Sure.
We could start building and build 10, 15, 20 units every year, and we'll never meet the need in this neighborhood. We can work with a lot of partners, and we are trying to encourage that and helping encourage the city and state. And we would hope the feds to see this as a way that they can help stabilize families.
Yeah, I asked that question to ask this question. What needs to happen in the broader community to begin to fully address this need?
well, I think that's a really big question because there's so many things that do need to happen.
Yes.
I think one of the statistics I saw was for the extremely low income population, there are only 34 units available for every 100 families that are seeking one. So that tells you the great need in this area in particular because of a population of the extremely low income. But I guess what I think of, first of all, I think it's going to take a determination. Societal issues can be addressed if we really want to. And somewhere it's going to have to click that we really want this and that we desire to partner with one another, we desire to pool our efforts, and we desire to just do something. And I don't think it's a problem of resources. I think the resources are there. It's just a matter of prioritizing what we really believe needs to happen for housing. And until we do that, it's going to continue at the level it is. But I think there's potential for change if we do make it a priority. I think we need more developers. We need those who are going to step up and who are willing to take on affordable housing projects because it's not an easy road. Mm-hmm. It's not a profitable road, but it is a necessary one. Zoning policies. We need zoning policies that are going to allow for increased density, as well as creative housing options. We need good landlords. We need good landlords.
What are creative housing options?
Well, different. So options like tiny homes, which is being
Right.
being explored especially for the homeless population. There are other housing options out there that could be used if we allow for it.
I think to continue that thought, it's allowing us to maybe put in the back of someone's home, over their garage,
Yes.
an apartment. Again, it's trying to maximize space because we have a defined amount of space.
Right.
It's how do you utilize that? So for some homes, it's maybe putting a little home in the back on the alley, and that will push some planners and some folks in the powers that be to approve those types of things. But I know in two cities where two churches, one in St. Paul, Minnesota, and one in Portland, Oregon, where they're allowing churches, because what do churches tend to have a lot of? Property.
Yeah.
To put these little villages of tiny homes, and the church then provides the support to those families, and they're celebrating those families moving into their own rental place, and in that progression. None of this is going to be solved by simply building. It's building the capacity of people. And one of the issues that's going to keep us from recognizing the economic potential of our city and state is lack of worker housing.
Right.
And so, and then that just trickles down. And so we have to have more homes. We've got to build more homes and figure out how we can incentivize that, and be creative in allowing some of those different options.
How can our listeners get involved in helping address this issue?
Well, they could call Dennis and see how they can help. I think we're also doing repairs on people's homes. We have folks who have, maybe they can't fix something, and we'll go in and help them. We have folks living in homes that we own, and so maybe someone has a skill, or someone says, hey, I'm a plumber. When you're going to build something, maybe I could help you by doing this or that. And maybe it's an owner. Dennis, tell us what some of the things you see when we're talking to our neighbors, simple things that people could teach others to help with.
Well, anytime we're talking about home ownership, we're talking about a skill set that not everybody has. So there's a variety of things, anything that needs maintenance around the home that somebody else knows how to help with could be a great way to step in and help some of our neighbors.
Yeah, teaching home repair skills. My wife will sign me up for all of those classes, but then I'll be on medical leave because I'll get hurt doing it. But those simple, how to change a light socket, how to take out a electric socket, how to do those types of simple repairs, how to change the guts of a toilet, which if that toilet keeps running is going to cost a lot of money.
Right.
But simple little things like that.
Thank you, Dennis and Jay. For 39 years, Shepherd Community has made a lasting difference in the lives of thousands and thousands of neighbors. The Shepherd team couldn't do that work without the support of donors, partners, and volunteers. To learn more about how you can help, please visit shepherdcommunity.org. Thank you for listening.
Thanks.